welcome to the Retirement Blueprint Show. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Tim Lofton, my co-host. Tim Lofton, how are you today?
I am good, Cynthia. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I always look forward to our time together in the studio because obviously you're filled with such amazing knowledge and information to our viewers at home who are planning their retirement, or perhaps they're already in retirement. So,
Cynthia, that
has life been busy?
That is a very kind way of saying I'm old.
No, it's not.
I never thought there would be a day where I would say that I've been doing something for 30 years, but I've been doing something for 30 years.
And excelling at it.
And it's been such a great experience. I've enjoyed so much just helping other people and being a part of their lives. And, we talk about all the time that, we're not here just to put a plan together for you, but we're here to do life with you.
Yeah.
And, it's a very rich experience when you get to help people. And I very much have enjoyed that journey.
Well, it's amazing, Tim, because you and I were talking this morning before the show started about how many of your clients come in and they refer other friends and family members to you. So what does that feel like for you to know that people love you enough to pass your name along?
I mean, there's nothing kinder that you can do for someone that you have trust in than to pass their name on to somebody that you care about, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a doctor, an attorney, or a CPA. When you think highly enough of somebody that you think that they can be of help to somebody that you love and care about, I mean, that feels pretty special.
Absolutely. Well, Tim, I want to talk to you a little bit about today, just where we are as a whole, if you will, in the economy. Obviously, a lot of changes. People are watching the news. They're aware that things are going on. We've got everything with global things going on also here in the U.S. But I wanted to ask you a question. With so many changes on the horizon, your wealth management team, are they advising that people just kind of stay put, or are they making a lot of changes today?
Well, I'm not a wealth management guy, so I get to sit in on those meetings and listen to their thoughts. And I think the thing that I hear differently from our team than I am seeing a lot in the industry is that they are making adjustments, they are making changes, and I hear so often that people are coming to the office and they're like, nobody's doing anything. Like, I'm just supposed to ride this ride, and there was no adjustments made. Now, having said that, one of the things that our wealth management team talks about all the time is that, you make changes when things are good, not when they're bad.
Right.
And so part of the information I think that people are coming in with is partially correct. The other thing is, it all comes back to what their plan is. I mean, if their plan was done properly, a good portion of their assets, or at least a part of them, have not gone down.
Right.
Because they were in things that, will hold up, things like that pay fixed rates, or maybe something that has downside protection against the market. And if that's the case, you're only talking about a small portion of their dollars that's actually going through the volatility that we're seeing right now.
Okay.
Unfortunately, a lot of folks don't have that. And that's the frustration, I think, on the client side and on our side, is that, they have essentially transitioned into the retirement years with the same approach that they were taking in pre-retirement.
Yeah.
And as we've talked about on so many shows, that's not necessarily the best option.
Tim, let's talk about that a little bit more in detail. So obviously you're speaking of things like rebalancing a portfolio. Do you believe in doing that, and how often is it necessary?
Well, our team, they talk about rebalancing, but in a different way than we traditionally think. A lot of times we see wealth management firms rebalance for rebalance sake. It's like we need to look like we're doing something, and so we're doing this. And one of the things that has come out of a lot of our meetings is that a lot of times with rebalancing, at least my understanding from our wealth management team, is that a lot of times people are taking money off the table while it's still growing, and then they're trying to go into things that are perhaps down, or that an area has gotten out of whack Okay, so you know, maybe they have too much growth now or too much in safety or whatever the case may be, but the timing of it is that, you know, you're essentially trying to guess what's going to happen.
Right.
And that's a dangerous slippery slope.
Especially retirement years.
Especially retirement years, because if you're wrong,
yeah.
you know, you look at where we are today, if things come back quickly and you've taken all your money and put it in cash, you're going to miss it. However, if you don't put it in cash and the market goes down even further, then you're lost. And so people are left going, oh my gosh, what do I do?
Right.
And that's where that, you know, paralysis by analysis happens,
yeah.
where it's almost like I'm just not going to look at it anymore and just hope it all works out.
Right.
And, you know, doing this is not a good retirement approach,
no.
right? I mean, so it really comes down to the plan. You know, as we talk about, you know, should people make changes or should they make changes, the question is, what does your plan say? And the answer we hear most often is, well, Tim, we don't really have a plan. You know, we have our dollars at, you know, XYZ firm and they're doing what they do and we don't really understand it and things look really bad and we're scared. That's what we hear. And fear is one of the worst things when it comes to retirement planning, because people so often do the wrong thing
sure.
at the wrong time. And so you cannot let fear make you make decisions that are not in your best interest.
Right, because so much of that is emotionally driven, obviously, and you have to kind of step back from that and think, okay, what is the common sense thing to do? But it's hard when you're caught up in it.
It's almost impossible to
yeah.
do because it's your dollars.
Right.
I mean, that's the value of having, you know, advisors, is that they're not emotionally attached to your money.
True.
They're emotionally attached to you and your family, and you know, we care about our clients, but we're not in that same headspace where we're like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? And you know, during these types of times, people will call and be like, well, if it keeps doing what it's doing, it's going to go to zero. I mean, that's never happened in history, but
right.
Maybe it'll happen to me. And so you have this fear, and then it builds up. And then a lot of times you have, you know, when we look at a married couple, you may have one person who feels very comfortable with risk and their partner may not. And so the partner that is not comfortable with risk is now on the partner that was comfortable with risk, saying, this is what I was talking about, and this is why I told you we shouldn't do this. And so then you're creating conflict in already an emotional environment, and it can lead to really bad decisions.
Absolutely. Well, Tim, I know there's a very special offer that you want to present to our viewers at home today. Let's talk about what that is before we open the phone lines.
Our show's the Retirement Blueprint Show. It's called that because we have a retirement blueprint. It's a design that we came up with over the last 20 years to help people navigate to and through retirement. We sit down with you, we ask a lot of questions, but more importantly, we get to know you. We get to know you so that we can figure out where you're trying to go to and how to get you there in the safest way possible. So this is your opportunity for a complimentary review. It doesn't cost you anything. It's a matter of you sitting down with us and us asking questions, you giving us answers, and us sharing with you our best advice.
Tim, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the number to call is on your screen. That number is 855-684-3485. You've worked your entire life to get to the retirement years, and you deserve to have the retirement dream of your dreams. Tim has a very special offer for you today. All you have to do is take advantage of picking up the phone and calling in 855-684-3485. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'm going to ask Tim a very important question about where he sees the market in 30 years. Stay tuned.
Retirement is about choosing where you want to go and mapping out a plan to get there. That's why I created the Retirement Blueprint. Of course, things don't always go according to plan. Come learn how our team can help you avoid potential hazards and find alternate routes. We're here to do life with you and share your journey. Let us blueprint your life to keep you on track to make sure you get the most out of retirement. Are you on the road to success? Call us today for a complimentary review to find out. Let us plan your tomorrow today.
And welcome back to the Retirement Blueprint Show. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tim Lofton. Tim, a wonderful show we're having today, talking about planning properly for retirement. And I know that you don't have a crystal ball, because if you did, you'd have it with you on the desk, and we'd be asking you all types of questions. But where do you see the market 30 years from now? What do you think?
Well, Cynthia, if I had a crystal ball, I would probably be on a yacht someplace in the Caribbean.
With your dogs?
Yes, with my dogs. My dogs would love the water, especially our boxer, because she is a fair weather. She's a fair weather dog. We're coming into the time of year she does not like. She has no body fat, and she not a lot of fur, and so she definitely likes the summer.
Aww.
But you know, it's a great question, and I think it's a great question for now because it helps give us context.
Yeah.
You know, whatever environment we're in, it is fueled by the media. So
Sure.
if things are really not going so well like they are now, you can't turn on the TV without hearing about how bad things are, how bad things are going to get, and it feels like there's no end in sight.
Absolutely.
Like it's never going to stop. And we've seen that over and over again with any type of economic event of any size. And so, you know, one of the things that I like to talk about is that, you know, I graduated from college in 1992.
Okay.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average was roughly 3,285.
Okay.
Okay. Today, where are we at 29,000 and change or so? And so, you know, it went from 3,285 to 29,000. Now, I know folks at home are going to be like, well, Tim, it was at 36 in January. Yes, it was. You know, I could have that same conversation with people in this industry, because I remember being back in 2008. And, you know, we kind of went through a recovery, and people said, well, you know, the Dow in December of 08 was like 7,500, and now it's at 14,000. It's like, not exactly. It went from 14,000 to 7,500 to 14,000. It went sideways, right? So I get the ups and downs reference, but I mean, if you think about that, from going from 3,285 to 29,000, you're talking about 2.5 doubles.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about significant market impact there. So the market, where's it going to be in 30 years? If it does half of that, we would end up somewhere around 80,000.
Wow. Okay.
And so when you look at, you know, where we are today at 29,000, and you look at 80,000 30 years from now, and I know there's people at home saying, well, Tim, I won't be alive in 30 years. Maybe, maybe not. But what if you are? I mean, medical science isn't getting worse, right? It's getting better.
Absolutely.
And so the
better.
idea here is to try and keep some type of long-term perspective. You can do that if you've done the proper planning. If I have my income dollars invested in something that is not right now going down, that is not impacted by the market, it's easier for me to have a long-term view on the dollars that are in the volatility right now.
Sure.
Because I'm not worried about it, because it's long-term money. Even if I'm in my 60s or 70s, that can still be a long-term outlook with that pocket, that bucket of dollars.
Well, Tim, I should ask you, what advice do you have for the people that are in the viewing audience who are specifically worried about market volatility? What are some peace of mind nuggets that you can give them?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, this is a perfect time, not necessarily to panic, but to really understand how you feel. In other words, when you get your statement and you look at it, you know, where are you headspace wise? Are you at a point where you're ready to panic and just tell them to sell everything and go to cash? Are you just concerned, but you have a belief system that things are going to be okay at some point and you're going to hang on? Or are you completely okay with it and just know that, hey, this is part of it? Because those are all legitimate feelings.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the biggest thing. I think that in the industry, I don't think people feel like somebody's empathizing with them. It's like, you know, if you're worried right now, I get it. I totally get it. I mean, I understand that when you put money in a bond market and the bond market went down 20%, that's not what you signed up for.
Right.
And so being worried, being concerned, you know, feeling panic is a very natural feeling in today's times.
Of course.
The question is, what are you going to do about it? And what solutions do you have available to you given where we are right now? And that can only be determined through a plan. That's why we talk to people every day about, let's sit down, let's look at things, and let's see if there is a way to kind of correct the way that things are right now. And if there's not, remember how this feeling feels when we get to the good times, and you can make a change. Okay?
Excellent advice.
Because if this has created a level of discomfort that you can't live with, that's something to hold on to. That's a nugget of information that can serve you in retirement, because when things go the other way and they start to get really good again, that's a great time for you to say, you know what, I wasn't comfortable with that. I'm going to go ahead and make a shift with some of my dollars in a way that is going to take some of that fear and that future volatility out of the equation for me as an individual.
Tim, would you say one of the first steps to take would be to figure out how much income you need during retirement?
It's 100% the first thing that you have to that's where you have to start.
Okay.
You have your Social Security, you have your pension, and then you have how much money you are spending on a monthly basis. And so a lot of times for most people here in Dayton, there's a difference there. You know, what they have coming in from Social Security or what they have coming in from pension is not enough. And so they're relying on their nest egg, what they've saved in their IRAs, their 401ks, their 403b plans, their TSP, to help subsidize that income. And so it's a calculation that we do for every client where we will say, okay, this is how much income that you need to be able to generate. And then we back into, this is how much of your total nest egg you need to basically give the job of providing income. And so that dollar amount, that bucket is the bucket that we talk about as the income bucket. It's the one that's got to be safe. We've got to remove the volatility, we've got to remove the risk from that bucket. If you do that, that frees up the rest of the dollars to then have more of a growth approach, again, staying within what you feel comfortable with, what you feel you can live with in the world of ups and downs.
Well, Tim, how important is it for our viewers at home to employ a team of financial professionals?
Well, I think it's essential. I mean, if you look at the whole idea of retirement and think about the people that are actually involved in that decision-making process, we created a team that we can rely on for each of those different areas. We have a team that does wealth management. We have somebody that is doing estate planning, that's an estate planning attorney. We have a tax planning CPA. We have what I do, which is on the planning side. And you have this group that is all working together for your benefit. And the difference is, you know, even when people say, well, Tim, I have all those people.
Yeah.
I have an attorney, I have a CPA, and I'm always asking them the question, I'm like, well, is your attorney an estate planning attorney? Well, no, they do a lot of different things. Well, is that, you know, it's kind of like going to a general practitioner for heart surgery.
Right.
You know, it's a very specialized field, and there's a handful of attorneys in the state of Ohio relative to how many attorneys there are in the state of Ohio that specialize and are certified in estate planning. And the same thing goes true with wealth management. Is your wealth management team specialized in retirement planning, or are they more along the lines of an accumulation advisor, which fits 95% of the advisors out there? They're there, they help you, they grow your money, and they're very good at it, right?
Right.
But when you get to the distribution phase of retirement, it's a different approach.
Of course.
And so having that team, and then more importantly, having that team all talking to each other.
Absolutely.
That's the difference maker.
Yeah.
You're paying all those people anyway.
Right.
Right?
Right.
If they're not all talking to each other, there's no way that your plan is optimized and leveraged as it could be.
Absolutely. Well, Tim, I know you have a very special offer to present to our viewers at home. Let's talk about what that is before we reopen the phone lines.
Sure. The things that I just talked about, the people that are a fiduciary in each of those areas of estate planning, of wealth management, of tax planning, that is the key to having a good plan and having good advice. And if that's something that you're missing, come talk to us. Sit down with us and let us understand where you're trying to get to. Let us introduce you to the people in our office that specialize in those different areas and see if they can't help you navigate to and through retirement, and more importantly, thrive in retirement.
Tim, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen. That number is 855-684-3485. Tim knows you have a lot of questions about how to plan your retirement and how to navigate through the news that we're all watching today. He wants to provide you with peace of mind, and all you have to do is pick up the phone and call in 855-684-3485. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but when we come back, I want to talk to Tim about how he helps his clients stay calm during some very challenging times. Stay tuned.
Unexpected events, like a global pandemic, can turn our world upside down overnight. They can cause volatile shifts that may cause you to question the confidence in your current retirement plan. As a retiree or a pre-retiree, knowing you have a plan that can withstand the worst economic conditions is vital. Contact us today for a complimentary review. Get a second opinion and learn more about our trademark process, the Retirement Blueprint. Let us plan your tomorrow today.
And welcome back to the Retirement Blueprint Show. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Tim Lofton. Tim, a wonderful show we're having today talking about peace of mind during some very challenging times. Let's dive into that a little bit further, because obviously we all pick up our remotes when we're relaxing in the evening. We come home after a long day of work. What do? You typically would put on the news. There's so much negativity right now. How do you help your clients navigate through that?
Well, Cynthia, I mean, there's negativity on the news because negativity sells. You know, fear sells. And if you think about it from the idea of what media is about selling advertising, and advertising is about viewership. And so how do I get people to tune in? I scare the heck out of them, right?
It's
I mean,
true.
at the end of the day, I talk about things that impact a large group of people, and those people tune in because they want to know.
Absolutely.
And so understand that, you know, news is old in an hour, right? And so the fact that all these different media sources want to tell you the same thing over and over and over again doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it true long term, certainly. It makes it true today, and maybe yesterday, and maybe tomorrow. But to say that it's going to be true 3 months from now or 6 months from now, I mean, they're looking for the next thing to scare you with.
Yeah.
And so as we talk about, you know, fear and how as a client, how is a person that lives in Dayton, Ohio, that worked for Wright Pat Air Force Base for 30 years and did everything right and doesn't have any debt, and they paid off their house, and they saved and they did without, they sacrificed to get to that point. And they're sitting at home with the news on, looking at their statement, and they're like, oh my gosh, like I've lost 20% or I've lost 30% of my nest egg literally in a few months. And I don't know what to do. And that fear just percolates and it just rises up, right?
Of course, it's natural.
And it's natural. And so, you know, as we talk to clients from the psychology side of this, is to create perspective. You know, the first thing is your lifestyle changing? Is this impacting your lifestyle? And the answer is almost always, well, no, it's not. It's just a number on a piece of paper that's less than it was 6 months ago. And then reminding them that that number 6 months ago was a much larger number than it was 6 years ago, right?
Absolutely.
And so, you know, I don't want to make a gambling reference here, but they are playing with house money a little bit here, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Sure.
we've come through some pretty wonderful times, and what they have is significantly more than they used to. And so the fact that it has gone down a little bit, we just need to take a breath.
Right.
Right? We need to be smart. We need to take a look back at our plan and say, what does our plan say? Because if our plan is done properly, this isn't really changing anything. We have our income bucket, so volatility hasn't changed our income and our income bucket at all. The only thing we're now struggling with is our growth bucket, and it's extra, right? It's for inflation. Well, when is inflation going to come? Years down the road. And so while the media wants us to concentrate on the here and now, we have to look at our plan as a long-term plan. It's a life plan. You know, it's a journey that we're going through. This is a bump in the road, an uncomfortable bump, a significant bump.
Right.
But it's a bump, right?
Yeah,
The end
yeah.
of the world's not going to happen. It hasn't happened in the last 200 years. It's not going to happen now.
Right.
And so we have to kind of take a step back and try and find some peace with the process.
Well, I think the piece, obviously, Tim, is the retirement blueprint. Let's talk a little bit more in detail about that. We have 2 minutes left.
Okay, so 2 minutes. So real quick, know your risk number.
Okay.
Okay. Know how much risk that you're willing to take. Stick to the plan, and remember that your timeline is just that. It's your life expectancy. The next 6 months, the next 6 weeks, the next 6 days do not determine how successful your retirement is. And no matter what the media says, remember, the end of the world as we know it is not coming tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay? And market timing is guessing. And when you're trying to guess based in today's environment of what's going to happen, most of the time you have a good chance of getting it wrong.
That is true.
So having that blueprint plan, sitting down with our team is a pretty good idea.
Thank you, Tim. Well, I know only a minute and a half left of the show. There's a very special offer that you want to present before we say goodbye to the viewers.
Your opportunity for your very own retirement blueprint starts with an appointment. That appointment starts with a phone call. If you're worried, pick up the phone, give us a call. What do you have to lose? We'll buy you a cup of coffee and we'll sit down and get to know you, and I think we can help.
You had me at coffee, Tim.
All right.
To the viewers at home, the number to call is on your screen, 855-684-3485. Tim knows you have a lot of anxiety and questions about what's happening in the market right now. He wants to help you plan properly for retirement. Don't miss this opportunity to call in today. Pick up the phone, 855-684-3485. Again, thank you so much for spending time with us today watching the Retirement Blueprint Show. We know you have a lot of questions, and Tim has the answers for you. Again, one more time, 855-684-3485. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you back next week on the Retirement Blueprint Show.